Anna and I just got back last couple days from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the annual convention in New Orleans. And while we were down there, we had the opportunity to work in the Texas Wagyu Association in their booth. And while we were there, we got to work with a couple of different people. One of those people was a man that I knew by reputation, but I'd never had a chance to spend much time with him. But anyway, I got a chance to work with Ralph Lee, and he owns the Lucky 7 Ranch in Texas, and his daughter. And as we spent a couple days together, I guess I come to know him a little bit better, and was very impressed with him and the way that he does business. Ralph is what I would call straight as a string. And out here where I'm at, that's about the highest compliment you can give to anybody. If somebody's straight as a string, it means, among other things, that their word and a handshake is worth every bit as much and probably more than a written contract. And the reason I bring this up is this conversation today, what I'd like to talk about is buying bred cattle. And the reason that we're going to talk about this is I saw, and again, I'm not much of a Facebook kind of guy, but I saw on Facebook where people were talking about asking about buying bred heifers. And I guess there's something maybe that I would like to mention in that regard. When you're buying bred cattle, if you're going to the sale barn and just buying commercial bred cattle, you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're getting into. You'll have an idea of approximately how old the cow is and approximately how far along she is as far as being bred. Whether she's got a 4, 5, 6, 7 month calf inside of her, you can anticipate approximately when that calf is going to be born. So at the sale barn, unless somebody makes some sort of a guarantee, you're going to get what you bought, no more, no less. Now, in the cattle that we're dealing with, and a lot of the cattle that you're dealing with as well, we're buying cattle from breeders, buying seed stock cattle. And it's a little bit different game. I mentioned that my grandfather, he raised Angus cattle, specifically these super mama cattle, and he sold a lot of bred cows. When my granddad sold a bred cow, he guaranteed a live birth, guaranteed a viable calf. And that's the way I was raised. That's kind of how they do things in this country. I guarantee a live birth when I'm selling a bred cow. I guarantee that calf will stand up and attempt to suck. And if the calf does that, from that point on, essentially he's your calf. I mean, whether that heifer takes the calf, whether that mama raised the calf, I'll get him on the ground and I'll get him up, but after that he's yours. The reason I bring this up is a couple years ago, I bought a cow, really nice Wagyu cow, an AA9 cow that I bought from Tina Edwardson from Branson Wagyu in Weatherford, Texas. And when I bought that cow, I asked Tina, will you guarantee a live birth? And she didn't even hesitate. She said, yes, I will. And everything worked out great. The cow carried that calf to term, had a live calf, a great bull calf. Everything worked out great. I've bought cattle from other seed stock producers. I've never bought another bred cow, but the point I'm trying to make is most people will stand behind their product. And I thought that was the norm. Apparently it's not. So what I want to say is, I guess people buying bred cows, bred heifers, especially from seed stock producers, or in an instance where you're paying quite a bit of money, make sure you know what you're getting into. There's a breeder in Texas that purchased a bred heifer at a live sale last year in Salina, Kansas, and paid quite a bit of money for this bred heifer, in excess of $20,000. Well, come to find out, that heifer did not produce a live calf. The breeder and I were talking about a little bit about kind of the options, the circumstance, what had happened. And I mentioned to this breeder, I said, well, just reach out to the seller. I'm sure that the seller will stand behind that calf one way or another. And the seller did not, which kind of surprised me. But nonetheless, this person that purchased that heifer did not end up with a live calf. There was a sale, a Wagyu sale. Again, Ann and I deal in Wagyu cattle, so that's mainly the experiences that we have. But there was a sale last spring, a sale in Oklahoma, Triangle B Ranch, great program. And one of the lots in that sale was a pregnancy. It was a recip cow that had a very nice, I guess very valuable calf going in it. It was been implanted with an embryo, produced a viable pregnancy. And it said right on that sale bill, and in the event that that pregnancy did not produce a live calf, the seller was willing to give another embryo that was basically the same. So people going into the deal knew what they were getting into, and it was a pretty expensive commitment on the part of the seller. I mean, the seller definitely stood up to the obligation. As far as I know, the cow produced a live calf and everything worked out. But I guess my point is not everybody is straight as a string. And I guess it's come to the point where just know what you're getting into. Ask the seller, will you guarantee a live calf? We've even gone so far here at Milburn American Wagyu. We sell a lot of embryos, and I have started to guarantee that embryos, a certain percentage of the embryos that we sell, will produce a calf that will stand up and attempt to suck. So, we're very confident. We're very proud of our cattle, confident with the producers that we work with, the veterinarians, embryologists. I'm very comfortable saying that the embryos we produce, a percentage of them, and just a percentage within the industry standard, will produce a calf that'll stand up and suck. Apparently, the way business was done, years ago, it's not the same. But the world's not the same, so I guess that's to be expected. But anyway, that's my conversation on buying bred cattle. Just know who you're dealing with. Ask around a little bit, especially in the Wagyu breed. There aren't a lot of producers. If you don't know somebody, you usually know somebody that does. So, a good reputation is something to be cherished, and I would hope that everybody would remember that. So that's pretty much what I've got to say as far as buying bred cattle. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm not that hard to get a hold of. Now for the good part. In my introduction video, I mentioned that I had written some books that of short stories, and I promised at some point to read those short stories. So what we're going to do today, we're talking about cattle and bred cows and bred heifers. I'm going to read you a story that I wrote, short story as just talked about. It's called Bred Heifers. So not necessarily my best work, not my funniest work, but it is my work. So I guess just enjoy this if you can. Bear with me while I try to get through it. All right. Bred heifers. Nothing will kickstart the farmer-rancher conversation at the local coffee shop faster than the mention of bred heifers. Any cowman worth his salt will have a story to tell, or an experience to share regarding this bovine adventure. This is my story. A few years ago, I was at my banker's office negotiating the terms of my pending operating note. Like pirates on the deck of a ship, engaged in a sword fight to the death, we went back and forth. First I would lunge, he would counter. The struggle went on, and finally, with both of us near exhaustion, my banker said, "Milburn, you tightwad, you need to spend some money," which translated means, "Milburn, you're getting old, your wife has a good job in town, we need to get her signature on some of these loans you have here at the bank." This is where the bred heifers come in. It was decided at the earliest opportunity I would buy a load of heifers. After all, with modern genetics and sound management, what could possibly go wrong? You get some heifers, feed them a little bit, and on some beautiful spring day, they lay down and squirt out a perfect baby calf. The calf stands up, eats sugar cubes from your hand, and immediately starts to grow. Sounds easy enough to me. I bought my heifers on the internet one day during my lunch for my real job. The average weight was 900 pounds. It's true what they say, the camera does put weight on. They looked bigger on the screen. The auctioneer described them as all black, Angus or Angus cross, bred to low birth weight bulls to start calving around the 1st of May. That was the last week in February. They were a little small, but hey, I had 2 months to grow them, right? Wrong. 5 days later, the first calf arrived. It was one of the few that we didn't have to pull. I should have known when they came off the truck that I was in for a wreck. The Angus cross 900-pound, low birth weight heifers I bought were obviously delivered to someone else. Instead, I got Bramer, Rhino, Chihuahua cross heifers bred to either grizzly bears or a serial killer, straight out of a CSU bovine South Beach diet program. My vet politely refers to them as Southern influence cattle. For the next 3 months, I slept in my chair in the living room. In between 2-hour rounds, I would try to steal a nap. Toward the end, I didn't even take off my coveralls. When a heifer went into labor, I'd keep an eye on her. If she was having trouble, I would wake up my wife. Together, we would pull the calf. Funny thing, when we were newlyweds, she didn't seem to mind if I'd wake her up in the middle of the night. Well, after 30 years of marriage, she's a little harder to wake up and a whole lot crankier when you do. With the help of my wife, my true friend Tom and his boys from town, and occasionally the vet, we pulled almost half of the calves born to those heifers. I only lost one. It came in the middle of a cold March night. After I pushed the cow into the barn, she turned around and proceeded to work me over. It happened so quick I didn't even see her coming. She got me down in the corner and blew snot into every nook and cranny she could find. When the dust settled, I looked like somebody had beat me with a giant snail. I eventually got the calf out, but by then it was too late. It's a red bull calf. He'd have been a good one. The worst cow out of that whole bunch is one I call Old 108. I still have her. She's black as sin, Bramer, and an excellent mother. I'm not sure where she hides it, but I'm pretty sure she carries a switchblade knife. Anymore, when I check cows, I roll down the windows on my truck. That way she doesn't break them when she crawls in the cab with me if I get too close to her calf. I should get rid of her, but she's too high-headed to load by herself, and I don't think you could kill her with a 30-06. Well, that's my heifer story, and I'm sticking to it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Keep watching my channel. I hope to polish it up a little bit more all the time. Like I said, this is a brand new effort. We're making some progress, but we've got a long ways to go. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to you later.
Uh-huh.